Hello again, adventurers, and welcome back to the Forgotten World, a brand new saga in Heroes of the Blocks. Last time, Ollie and his friends stepped through the Door of Origins into the beautiful, haunting First Land. They battled echo wraiths born from forgotten memories, discovered the existence of a second dangerous artifact called the Key of Undoing, and came face to face with an ancient, stone-bound guardian who remembers everything the villagers chose to forget, and he was not happy to see them. Now trapped in the ruins of the first village, Ollie must confront a living piece of his people's history, one who sees him not as a hero, but as a child meddling with forces that should have remained buried forever. This is the story of what comes next. Welcome to Episode 2, The Crystal Archives. The Guardian's blue eyes burned with the cold, patient fire of a dying star. He stood unmoving, a statue of judgment, his presence sucking all the warmth from the air. The heartblock key in Ollie's hand felt heavy, like a stone of guilt. "You should never have come," the Guardian repeated, his voice echoing not just in the ruins, but in Ollie's bones. Ollie swallowed, forcing himself to stand straighter, to hold his shield steady. "We didn't have a choice. A great shadow, the Voidborn, was awakened. If I hadn't found this world..." "The Voidborn is a myth," the Guardian interrupted, his tone sharp as broken glass. "A scare story told to frighten young Guardians into obedience. Your people chose to forget their power, and in their ignorance they have clearly forgotten how to tell truth from fairy tale." "It was real!" Flicker zipped forward, her light flaring defiantly. "We saw it! We fought it!" The Guardian's gaze drifted to the sprite, and for a moment, his fiery eyes softened with something that looked like ancient pity. "A spark of light, brave but fleeting. Your kind have always been drawn to great events, little one, but you see only the surface." He turned his gaze back to Ollie. "I am Kalis, and for centuries I have been the sole keeper of this place. I watched our people abandon their duty. I watched them seal the door, and I swore that I would never allow their weakness to endanger this world again." Spitbeard let out a loud, contemptuous snort. "Weakness?" The lad faced down an army of shadows and a giant angry void monster. "Sounds more like you've been sitting around collecting dust while he's been doing your job." He spat defiantly at the stone floor. The glob sizzled and vanished. Kalis's jaw tightened, the stone and flesh of his face creaking. "A beast of burden that speaks nonsense. Your companions are as chaotic as your actions, child. You wield the key of keeping, a tool of perfect balance, yet you bring only disruption." He took a thunderous step forward. "Surrender the key. It will be kept safe here, as it should have been for all time." Ollie's fingers tightened around the key's handle. He thought of his village, of the Skylands, of the countless lives that would be lost if the shadows rose again. Surrender the one thing that could stop them? Never. "No," Ollie said, his voice quiet but firm. "The murals in these ruins, they showed another key, the key of undoing. As long as it exists, there's a danger it could fall into the wrong hands. We have to find it." Kalis actually laughed, a low rumbling sound like an avalanche. "You seek the Unmaker? You are more foolish than I imagined. It is hidden, protected by knowledge you cannot possibly comprehend. It is not for you to find." "Then help me comprehend," Ollie pleaded, taking a step forward himself. "You said you never forgot. You remember everything. You must know what happened, why our people were so afraid. You must know where to find the answers." Kalis fell silent, his burning eyes studying Ollie's face. He saw the desperation, the fear, but also the unyielding resolve. It was a look he had not seen on a villager's face in 1,000 years. The answers you seek lie within the crystal archives, Kalis said at last, his voice heavy. A library of memories where all the knowledge of the First Land is stored, but the archives do not welcome the unworthy. The path itself is a trial. If you are truly the bearer of the key as you claim, then prove it. Follow me, but be warned, the archives protect themselves. If your heart is unbalanced, it will be torn apart by the truths you find there. Without waiting for a reply, Kalis turned and strode toward the back of the ruins, his footsteps shaking the ground. Ollie exchanged a quick, determined look with Flicker and Spitbeard, and then hurried to follow. Their journey into the heart of the forgotten world had truly begun. Kalis led them not to a path, but to the edge of a great chasm that split the valley in two. Below there was no bottom, only a swirling mist of purple and silver that pulsed with faint light. From it rose a chorus of whispers, 1,000 voices murmuring at once. The bridge will appear only for one who walks the path of balance, Kalis stated, his arms crossed. If you carry doubt, greed, or fear in your heart, the whispers will claim you. Ollie took a deep breath. He held the heart block key out before him. Focusing his thoughts, he remembered the Oracle's trials, mind, heart, and soul. He pushed aside his fear, his uncertainty, and focused on his one simple goal: protecting his friends, his family, his world. As he took his first step out over the abyss, a bridge of woven starlight materialized under his foot, shimmering and solid. He took another step, and another, the bridge forming just ahead of him as the old path vanished behind. The whispers grew louder, more personal. They took on familiar voices. He heard his mother telling him to come home for dinner. He heard his father asking him to help mend a fence. He heard the baker from his village offering him a fresh loaf of bread. You don't have to do this, Ollie. Just turn around. It's safe at home. We miss you. His steps faltered. A profound homesickness washed over him, so powerful it almost brought him to his knees. The desire to just be a simple villager again, to be just Ollie, was overwhelming. "Keep walking, lad!" Spitbeard's gruff voice cut through the illusion from behind him. "Don't listen to them! They're not real!" Ollie gritted his teeth, tears blurring his vision. He gripped the key tighter, its familiar pulse a comforting rhythm. "I have to do this," he whispered to the voices. "I'm sorry." He forced himself to take another step, and the whispers faded, replaced once again by the quiet hum of the valley. When they reached the other side, Kalis was waiting. A flicker of something, was it respect, passed through his eyes before his stony expression returned. "You have passed the first test, but the archives are not much further." He led them to the face of a mountain made entirely of glowing, transparent crystal. With a touch of his hand, a section of the crystal dissolved, revealing an entryway into a cavern that stole Ollie's breath. They were inside the crystal archives. The space was immense, a cavern of impossible size, lit from within by the very crystals that formed its walls. Instead of bookshelves, massive swirling columns of light stretched from floor to ceiling. And instead of books, millions of flawless crystal tablets floated in slow, mesmerizing orbits within the columns, each one glowing with a soft inner light. The air hummed with contained knowledge, with the weight of history itself. "Each tablet is a memory," Kalis explained, his voice softer here, tinged with reverence. "A piece of our history, our magic, our very soul. They can only be read by one whose mind is in harmony with the archives." He gestured to the countless floating crystals. "The knowledge you seek is here. Find it, if you can." Ollie walked forward in a daze, reaching out to a nearby column of light. As his fingers brushed against a floating crystal, it glowed brightly, and knowledge flooded his mind. He saw a vision of the first villagers shaping a river of light, bending it to their will to water the crystal grass. He touched another and saw them creating the first sky-sailing ships, powered by captured constellations. It was beautiful, powerful, and overwhelming. "We need to focus," Flicker whispered, her own light pulsing in tune with the crystals. The key of undoing, where would they hide the memory of something so dangerous? Spitbeard, surprisingly, pointed with his nose toward the center of the cavern. Big places like this always hide their biggest secrets in the middle. Look there. At the heart of the archives was a single colossal crystal pulsing with a deep, powerful light. It was the Master Crystal, the core of the library. Kalis stood before it, his eyes closed as if communing with it. Ollie approached cautiously. He could feel the power radiating from it, a thrumming energy that vibrated in his teeth. This was where the most important memories were kept. He placed his hand on the Master Crystal's surface. The universe exploded behind his eyes. He saw the eternal forge, burning with both light and shadow. He saw two guardians, one robed in white, the other in black, working together. They poured their very essence into the forge, creating the two keys, the key of keeping, to maintain balance, and the key of undoing. But the vision shifted. The key of undoing wasn't created as a weapon of evil. It was created as a failsafe, a tool of last resort, to be used only when the world had fallen so completely out of balance that it needed to be reset. A hunger so absolute it threatened to reset creation on its own terms. It was designed to unmake reality itself, allowing it to be reborn from nothing. It was the most dangerous artifact ever conceived. Then, the final piece of the vision slammed into him. The location. It wasn't hidden in the First Land at all. The ancient guardians had cast it away, sending it to the deepest, darkest corner of a different realm, a place far below even the overworld's bedrock. The vision showed a massive, crumbling tower submerged in an endless subterranean ocean. Runes of binding flared around it, but they were weak, fading. The Sunken Spire of the Abyss. Ollie gasped, pulling his hand back. "I know where it is," he breathed. But the moment he said it, the archive screamed. The soft, humming glow of the cavern turned a sickening, flickering red. The crystal tablets shrieked, rattling in their columns of light. Shadows, long and sharp, bled from the corners of the room where no shadows should have been. Kalis's eyes snapped open, blazing with fury. "What have you done?" "It wasn't me!" Ollie shouted. From the distorted shadows, figures began to seep into the room. They weren't like the hulking shadow beasts of Nihil's army. These were smaller, quicker, things of utter silence and stealth. They were shadow stalkers, their bodies little more than semi-solid darkness, their eyes like chips of cold red ice. "They followed you," Kalis roared, his hands igniting with blue, runic fire. "They have corrupted the sanctity of this place." The stalkers didn't attack head-on. They darted between the light columns, their mere presence causing the crystals they passed to dim and crack. One of them hissed, a sound like tearing paper, and leaped toward the Master Crystal, just as Ollie pulled his hand away. A single smoky tendril lashed out and brushed the crystal's surface. Ollie's heart dropped. It saw the vision. The shadow stalker reeled back, its red eyes glowing with triumphant malice. It now knew the location of the key of undoing. "They cannot be allowed to escape with that knowledge," Kalis bellowed. He unleashed a torrent of blue fire, vaporizing 3 of the stalkers instantly. But more kept pouring in, their numbers seeming endless. Ollie raised the heart block key, its balanced light pushing back the encroaching darkness. Spitbeard charged, spitting his glowing acid, dissolving the creatures before they could solidify. Flicker became a living star, a nova of blinding light that sent the stalkers screeching back into the shadows. But it wasn't enough. They were a tide of silent, creeping darkness. For every one they destroyed, another slipped through a new crack in the light. One of the stalkers, the one who had touched the crystal, was already retreating, fading back into the shadows near the entrance. "It's getting away!" Ollie cried. He unleashed a powerful blast from the key, a wave of light and shadow that shook the archives to its foundations. The wave caught the escaping stalker, and it dissolved with a final, silent hiss. But had it been fast enough? Had it passed the information on? The remaining shadows, their purpose fulfilled, melted away, and the archives slowly returned to their peaceful, glowing state. But the silence now felt different. It was tainted, violated. Kalis stood panting, the blue fire in his hands fading. He looked at the place where the shadows had vanished, then back at Ollie, his expression grim. "So the Voidborn is not a myth after all," he said, his voice low. "These creatures, they carried its scent, a scent of utter emptiness." He finally looked at Ollie, not as a child, but as a warrior. "You were right to come here, and I was wrong to doubt you. But your presence has brought a new danger to this land. The shadows know the location of the Unmaker. It is no longer a search. It is a race." And so, with the knowledge of the crystal archives revealed, Ollie has found the location of the Key of Undoing, only to have that same knowledge stolen by a new, more insidious kind of shadow. The hunt has begun, and the stakes have never been higher. Will they reach the Sunken Spire before the forces of darkness do? And what forgotten horrors await in the abyss below the world? That, adventurers, is a story for the next chapter of The Forgotten World. If this episode has you on the edge of your seat, be sure you're caught up with the entire Heroes of the Block saga from the very beginning. Every legend, every battle, and every secret is part of the path that led Ollie here. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you'll be ready for episode 3, The Sunken Spire of the Abyss. Because what lies in the darkest depths is about to be awakened. And remember, in Minecraft, every block tells a story.